So I'm 26 and I, by society's norms, have the perfect life. I work for myself, I make really good money, I love what I do for work, I'm in great shape, I have friends, I have family that care for me, and yet I still suffer a lot with sadness and depression. So much so that I went on antidepressant medication. I was taking mood stabilizers, sertraline, GP prescribed sertraline for 5 to 6 months before I got off of it. And today, in this video anyway, what I want to talk about is my experience with sadness, with depression, as someone who's in their mid-20s and is someone that has done a lot in their life. Like, I've traveled to over 25 countries, I've lived in Australia for the past 2 years, I've worked in multiple careers, and I've done a lot for the young age that I am. And so whilst I'm not 80 years old on my deathbed being able to give like life-changing advice to someone who's in their 20s, I feel like I can do a pretty good job at giving some level of advice and direction. And the first point I want to make is that happiness is not linear. Like, it is never going to always be there as a constant. And 9 times out of 10 too, it's always going to be something that is flexing. It's always going to act like a wave. You're going to come through good parts of your day or your week or your month or your year where you're really, really happy. And there's also going to be parts where you're not. And for the last 3 to 4 weeks of my life, I have been really just low. And the funniest thing in this is our business, or my business, hit a record month. Never made more money than we did last month. Yet I felt more empty than I ever had before. And I keep asking myself why. Like, whenever I feel a certain way, I ask myself why. And I guess part of this was because I used to be someone that binge ate a lot, and what really helped me get out of that was asking myself the question of why was I binge eating at the time? For me, it was because I was trying to either restrict too much during the day, my intake of food. Maybe I was being too restrictive with either calories or like certain food groups, for example. But a lot of the time it was also because I had emotions that I wasn't dealing with at a personal level, that I was using food as like a comfort blanket for. And I still do this today. Like, I want to kind of state that, like, definitely still use it as that blanket in a sense. And I don't think that's ever really going to go. Like, I really feel like food noise and struggles around food is going to be something that I don't have hardwired in my brain. And I don't think that's a limiting belief of mine. I think that's just like the reality. I struggled with binge eating for 10 years. Yes, maybe I haven't like really struggled with it these last 2 years. But there's definitely days where I do overeat. There's days where I borderline binge, for example. And I think the more I'm honest about that experience, the better. But I guess that's not really the purpose of this video. And instead, the purpose of this video is talking about my experience when it comes to sadness and depression, and being quite vocal on, I guess, what helps me and what doesn't help me. So maybe we take it to why I went on antidepressants in the first place and why I came off of them as well, most importantly. Because just like GLP-1s, i.e. like weight loss medications, these medications, they're not the fix. You know, they may be temporarily. Like, absolutely, did I feel a bit happier and like, I didn't have as much sadness whilst on these medications? Absolutely. Like, I was able to control my mood a lot better. Like, my mood felt stable, right? But it was never like making me happy, right? Like, I would still have bad days, and it's like these medications wouldn't just instantly make me happier, right? So I came off of them, and I was like, I'm not going to be someone that essentially like goes against my own word in terms of my advice to clients that utilize GLP-1s, for example, which is, they're a big no-no in my world. Like, why use a Band-Aid solution? Like, it's never going to fix the real issue. It's just going to come back in 6 months' time once you go off the drug, for example. Yeah, I was doing the same thing in a mental health capacity for my own sadness, for my own depression. And I came off of them. And I was like, look, cold turkey, I don't want to be on these things anymore. Definitely isn't advised. Like, I want to stress, I'm not a GP of any kind. I'm not promoting anyone to go on any kind of medications. And I'm definitely not recommending that you come off of them like I did too. Like, I was like, I don't want to be on this anymore, and I didn't take it anymore. You're meant to do quite a structured kind of like cessation program where you start taking like half the dosage and then a quarter of the dosage over a few weeks, because the side effects are pretty extreme. Like, I was feeling faint and dizzy, like my balance was all over the place. It was really weird for like a good week or two. Now I'm fine, which is great. But it was a really weird few weeks. Anyway, where am I going with this? Why I went on them was because I thought it would be the solution. Like, I really thought, at the time that is what I needed, and I just needed a bit more like help and a bit more dopamine in my body. But in reality, it didn't change much. Like, yes, I was able to deal with my moods a bit better, but it really didn't change much for me. And if anything, it allowed me to rely on the medication more than ever. I stopped putting myself out there. And what I've kind of learned from my experience anyway is the less I put myself out there and have connection and community, the worse my symptoms get. Like, I feel so low and so sad whenever I'm alone. Like, my real trigger is loneliness. So I'm like, right, how do I make sure that I don't get to points where I am alone often? Right? I know I'm alone, like, whilst recording this video, but I'm in Brisbane, I'm supporting a client, and that's bringing me so much joy. He's running a marathon tomorrow, or a half marathon tomorrow. I've been working with him just over a year now. And at first our goal was weight loss. And over the last 4 months, he's wanting to run a marathon from a starting point of 0 Ks. So it's been like the coolest thing to like come over here, fly over here, meet him, like cheer him on tomorrow morning. And I get so much dopamine from that. And I think this is the problem that I see in myself is isolation. Particularly in this day and age, man, it is so easy to just be like on your phone all day, every day. You're sad, oh, I'm just gonna scroll TikTok, I'm gonna watch some funny reels, get some instant dopamine, and I'm gonna go to bed sad. Like, oh, there's been so many days where I've been like, oh God, I don't even wanna sleep. Like, just because I'm like, I don't wanna wake up tomorrow. And it's not like a case of, I'm gonna do some stupid shit, never see a day again. Not at all, I'm not that kind of guy. But what I'm trying to say here is like, what am I trying to say here? I don't even know. I'm a bit lost for words, to be honest. This is quite a sensitive topic, and I didn't really expect to be talking about this kind of stuff in a very busy public space in Brisbane CBD. So how can I maybe end this video? Like, how can I actually like give some value and some advice? Well, if I know my trigger is being alone, then how do I make sure I'm not alone? But more importantly, how do I make sure I spend my time with the right people? Because I've known that I haven't really been like, I didn't really feel like I fit in after like the age of like 17, 18. Like, I started feeling a bit more isolated in my group. I started feeling like a bit more of a lone wolf. And it would be like I would go to the events with my friends, but I felt like I didn't connect with them in a way that I used to. And that was really hard. Like, there's this guy, Chris Williamson. He's a really famous podcaster. Has a podcast called Modern Wisdom. And I used to listen to it a lot. I don't really listen to it too much anymore. But he used to say this really cool quote about loneliness. He was like, a lonely chapter. And it's this stage where you're essentially not in the same position as your old friends. Like, you've kind of moved on from them. But you're also not in this new position where you can fit in with this new group. So you're in this like awkward in between. You're in this awkward middle. And it is so horrible being in that awkward middle. You feel like you have nobody. And I definitely am in a better position now. Like, I do feel like after 2 years here, I've been able to actually like get to a position where I do have a bit more of a circle, for example, around me. And I do feel like there are people that inspire me in ways that my old group don't really anymore. And no discredit to them, like, they're awesome. But again, like, the path I'm on right now is just not suited to those individuals and being as close as I once was with them. So how do I basically make sure that I make time for the people that are important to me is I have this rule. I call it the social free. And it's every week I'm asking myself the question of like, who am I seeing this week? Who are my 3 people that I'm seeing this week that are going to get me social, basically? And what am I doing with these people? Like, I'm always seeing it like a workout. Like, I'm like, right, am I training legs? Am I seeing this person? What are we doing? Are we going for a coffee? Are we exercising? Like, is it going to be a deep chat as a result, or is it just going to be a superficial like run, for example, with a friend as part of a run club? So I think it's really important to not just have an understanding of like, are you seeing people, but also like, what are the conversations going to be like? Are they just going to be very like meaningful or meaningless kind of surface level chats because, hey, you're at a run club and that's what you do? Or are they going to be actually like a one-on-one sit down personal coffee where you ask more deeper questions and actually get to know someone a lot better? And having that balance of like having group social activity plus like some one-on-ones has been transformative for me. Like that has really, really helped me, and is something that I feel like I need to continuously remind myself of. Ultimately, is like with your mood, it's always going to be a wave, like I was talking about. And the best way to control that wave is by making sure you're doing the inputs to make sure it never dips too low, and also it also never dips too high. Like this is the reality, or kind of goes too high, because that's the reality here. Is like just because your mood can be low and you can feel like stuck in that place, you can also get to this really dangerous point when your mood's really high. And I've definitely been in those areas. Like I've had good weeks that have extended to like good months, and I'm like, wait, there is a big crash coming. Like there is going to be a big dopamine crash coming, and I can kind of feel it because I've been on a high for way too long. So it's at that point, it's like, right, well, how do we just bring a bit more normality back to our life? How do we like stay in this happy place, but again, don't push it too far and don't push the boat out too much with socialization, for example. What I've kind of learned from my young 26 years of life, but also like my experience personally firsthand with sadness, with loneliness, with depression, is like you're never going to like cure it. Like you're never going to get to a point where you are like perfectly happy at all times. I think that has been the big realization that I've come to in my own journey, and like speaking to people who have experienced similar things to me, working with psychologists, like just speaking to any people. Like I always make sure I have an effort of like speaking to others that I meet. Like if I go to a coffee shop today, for example, we were speaking to this dude who's like, I didn't even catch his name, but I spoke to him for like 20 minutes. If I'm in an Uber, if I want to have a conversation, like if I'm energized enough to have a conversation, I'm having a conversation with that person. And I'm just like, it's really interesting. Like the more people you kind of converse with and realize or speak to, it's like no one is really like ever happy forever. Like even the happiest people go through awful moments in their life and go through so much shit. So it's like, right, how can I just roll the punches when they come, try to stack the wins, and be happy like 80% of the time? Because I know, hey, there's going to be 20% of the time where I'm probably not. So how can I be okay with that? Realize that as like the norm, normalize that, and then be present for the 80%. I fear that if I keep going, I'm just going to ramble for like an hour, and I really don't want to do that. So I don't know if this video was that useful, to be honest. It probably had an awful structure, and from like a user watch point of view, it's probably not been a very good one. But I wanted to share my story, and I didn't want this to come out scripted. Like with all my YouTube videos, I want to stress, like I don't script any of them. I don't script my Instagram videos, but my YouTube videos in particular, there's definitely a format to creating a video, and I do not follow that format. I kind of just talk, and that's it. I have a topic, I have a voice, and I just talk for a bit of time. So let's finish this now as a result, because it's going to be 20 minutes before I finish this up instead of 15. If this has helped, you don't have to do anything. Like, don't feel like you have to do anything. Don't feel like you have to socially thank me by liking this video or subscribing to my page. But if you are someone that's going through a sad, low time at the moment, realize that it's a wave. It's going to pass, and you are the only one that's in control of getting back to that happier point. But realize too, that happy point is always going to be fleeting. So savor it when you're in it. Be really grateful that it's there, and just try stack more and more happy days than you do have bad days. Hopefully this has helped. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Take care.